guys, it is Friday morning, May 15th, and welcome to another live session of Inspire, Encourage, Motivate Live. I am excited today because we get to be joined by a phenomenal woman. Guys, she is the CEO and founder of High Top Talent. So as soon as we see her log in, we're going to get her right on, and we're going to go straight into some amazing topics like empowering the ladies. What does it take to own your own business? Also, how she created High Top Talent. Mental Health Awareness Month is still going on. That's what happens in the month of May. So we're just excited for you guys to come join us. Thank you for participating in these week by week sessions that we've created, Quarantine and Create. So right now is a great time to be a part of. There we go. It's working.
How you doing, sis?
Different things. I'm doing great. Thank you for joining us. I have no idea, like this little glitter thing that just happened.
I thought you did that on purpose. I'm like, oh my God, celebrate.
Come on in here. So let me go ahead and introduce this amazing young lady. We have the CEO and founder of High Top Talent, Miss Tamara Campbell, or Tam Cam in the building.
So, hey.
Right. Straight to it. Without any further ado. So ma'am, Miss Tam Cam, tell me a little bit about or all about yourself. And then how did you create High Top Talent? And you're so talented, so go for it.
I started off as a photographer, and High Top Talent was created about 5 years ago. I had no idea I was going into a second industry. I didn't even want to have another business. I wanted to continue to grow my business as a photographer. And so as history went on, what happened was I decided to go into the experiential marketing industry, where I was like, you know what, I need to do something besides photography because I'm working all by myself all the time. So what I wanted to do was try to create some supplemental income, plus try to network a little. So 5 years into the industry, what I did was I started connecting with people, and I started to become really good at this new career. Then something happened. Now, I don't know if you know, but I'm from New Orleans, so I'm a little spicy, sometimes. So this one promotional company didn't pay a lot of the employees. And so I was getting a little concerned. And I'm the type of person who, steps up to the plate. I speak my mind when something's not right, because I believe in free speech. I believe in, doing the right thing. And so what I did was I went to the head of the company and I said, look, we haven't gotten paid. We're doing our job. We're good at our job. What's the next step? What can we do from here? Speaking like a real boss, you know what I mean? And so what he said was, well, the company already got paid, and I was like, oh, really? The company got paid, but the employees didn't get paid? And so, again, me being a small business owner, photographer, only having to worry about myself, I was like, something about that is not right. If we're doing a good job, we should be getting paid accordingly, and we should be getting paid on time. And none of that was happening. And so 2-3 weeks went by, and I was like, you know what? I'm starting my own company. I just kind of blurted out. And one of the executives was behind me, and I didn't even realize it. And he was like, well, Tamara, if you go ahead and, if you want to go ahead and put in a bid and create your own company, we'll give you a chance. And I was like, really? And I'm like upset, and I'm like, why would I want to start my own company? I just want to get paid. I just want to get paid because I'm trying to finance my dream as a photographer. At the time, I wanted to be this well-known photographer in my industry. And I mean, that's still a dream, but something happened which changed the course of my life that year. And I swear, I just hit the ground running. And of course, I did my due diligence. I'm like, what does it take to even create a staffing company? I mean, I've only had to worry about myself. I've never had to worry about employing other people. And I actually went to one of the people in my industry who I respected the most. And I was like, come on, let's go ahead and do this together. Let's, partner up and do this. And actually, she kind of shot me down. She was like, oh no, I don't want to do this. This is not something that I want to get into. But still, I was trying to save my job, and that was the only reason why I started High Top Talent, because I was trying to save my job. But at the same time, I was trying to create change within the industry, and do right by the people who I was working with, because honestly, it was a really good job. The only thing that wasn't cool about the job was being compensated accordingly. And so basically that's how High Top Talent got started. A funny story I want to share is, as I'm like coming down off my huffing and puffing, and the executive was like, you know what, well, jokingly, because we had a good relationship. I had been working with this company 4 years prior, actually about 6 years prior. So he was like, well, jokingly, what would you name the company? And I look up at the activation and I'm like, High Top Talent. Looking at the big tent, because the activation was in the tent. Well, you work there. And it's so funny because the first logo of High Top Talent was that I sketched out was of like, it looked like a circus tent. And I'm like, no, that's not gonna work, Yeah. And so I was like, okay, I started looking at a bunch of other logos from companies who I had admired. And I'm like, it gotta be something iconic, something that people can identify with. And I was like, I gotta just keep moving forward with it. Like moving forward, stepping. Oh, a tennis shoe, High Top Talent. I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna change it into like a sneaker. I say everybody knows what a high top is. I'm like, but is that something I can use? Because that's like that's like the Nike high top. So what I did was I actually separated the words. I mean, it's a lot of research I had to do. High top is one word, meaning the tennis shoe, but I created a different type of high top, but I split the word. So it's high top, which is perfect because it's kind of like us reaching for the highest quality.
Oh no, what just happened? That's okay. Stand by, guys. We're gonna bring her back. There we go.
What happened?
Technology. When you're giving good stuff, sometimes that knowledge piece, when you're giving out jewels and tokens and stuff, sometimes technology does what it wants. But there we go. We're back in.
All right. Awesome.
No, so we could still hear you, but it started to freeze a little bit. So no, that's amazing. The logo, guys, if you haven't seen it, High Top Talent, look it up. It is a sneaker and it's stepping. So it's a sneaker in motion, which I love. She did talk about her being a photographer, which she is amazing. Tam can photography. But she's not just a photographer. Like, she's done all of the graphics behind. Like, she is mean with a pen. I don't know how you do it because I can't. But let me just tell you, you make us look so good with the way that you edit and put things together. Our flyers for High Top Talent, guys, they have always looked amazing. To be specific, with High Top Talent, she staffs this at the State Fair of Texas for the Texas Lottery. And so outside of that, I want to shed a little light and give you some kudos because she just started staffing another side of the fair. So not only one bid, but two separate contracts with the State Fair of Texas. And she's a brown woman. Hello. So, but so this is like a really big deal. So tell us about that too. Like, how did that get started?
Well, I mean, it's a lot of pressure, and I try not to think about it. Let me go back to photography. When someone hires me as a photographer, I always like to ask them, like, why did you hire me? Like, what drew you towards hiring me to be your family portrait photographer? Well, because you're a sister, or you're Black, and I'm like, I want to get to the point in history or life in general where people hire you based on your character, just like Martin Luther King said, the contents of your character, your talent, your likability, not just because I'm a woman, not because I'm brown. Now, with that being said, it is a lot of pressure, being a woman of color, trying to do this business because, up until then, the only mentor that I had known was this one Caucasian guy in our industry, and he had always treated all his employees fair. Not to mention he was very handsome. I don't want to mention his name. Uh, but, you know, I was very drawn to his integrity to do the right thing. You know, I always go by the saying of Gary Vee, who is one of my virtual mentors. Doing the right thing is always the right thing. And I really do always try to do the right thing, you know, even when, you know, it may clash with personalities or whatever. I really do try to put my staff first, you know. And in the beginning, you know, trust me, I was on stage, I was hiring, I was firing, I was doing everything. But as the years go on, and we're now in our fifth season, I've been watching a lot of reality shows.
The season, right?
I know, right?
Season.
I don't know, fifth season. Yeah. Any production companies watching, we could be a reality show. But we're in our fifth year of doing this, and I love it. I try not to take myself too serious, only because I never put any expectations on whether we're going to get another contract the next year, because what I always tell people too is you're in a people business. You know, you gotta make sure that, you know, your attitude is on point, you know, you're taking care of your people no matter what the cost is. And so if I'm trying to undo what was done to me 5 years prior, then it's a lot of risk, it's a lot of sacrifice. But if you're playing a long-term game, the reward is amazing. Because I mean, just you already know, Raffinae, you know, we're friends. You know, when you help someone, when you're employing someone, that's an amazing feeling. It's crazy, right?
So I'll speak to this part. It's beyond crazy. So when I started, so Inspire, Encourage, Motivate brand management company. So it's actually outside of the sessions, I own a brand management company. So I'm in staffing, but we're in different industries, but have a similar where we staff people, but I staff people in the retail food industry. So when I got in business, and we talked about this way before it actually happened, you had already started High Top, and I was like, I think I'm going to start something. You're like, okay. But I was going more of the retail food, and I wanted to be able to employ people, right? I remember coming to audition for High Top Talent, and I was nervous. And I mean, guys, these auditions were, she didn't take or waste, she didn't hold back. Like, this was at a hotel, and she had the room set up. She had a wheel and a microphone, and she had a script. And I remember getting into the business, and I was like, okay, I do the same thing. I didn't want to just be a female that was brown in the industry, because it's very male driven, but I wanted to stand out for my integrity and my craft and what we offer. And I would say we both do in our respective industries, but it felt good when you could hire and pay, not one brand ambassador, not two, not three, but like 2000, I think in 18, I had 50 brand ambassadors, like 50. That's crazy. Like, to be a female that had, you were just your own brand ambassador. So the same for you. You were a photographer by yourself. Then you started as a brand ambassador. And then it's like, wait a minute, I feel like I can make a change. And so then as a brand ambassador, we came to audition for you. And it was a selection guide. She had all of these pictures laid out. And then she didn't, you know, we are in the people business. So she catered to her clients. And when she picked the best of the best talent. And in the comments, it does say it's high energy. We are on stage, okay? This isn't just a random, regular fly-by-night, hey, guys, come on up here and get, you know, spin the wheel. No, it's people interaction. And she made sure, and she let everybody know, like, hey, I picked you because they thought that you were good. So this is not just because we're cool. This is because somebody saw something in you. So now I need to put her on stage. So yeah, to go from, how does that feel? To put this in your own words, like to go from, you know what, I feel like I can make a difference. I can pay people on time. I can find good talent, to you're 5 and you're still doing it, right? And not just one people. You have so many people that want to do what you're doing with the Texas Lottery, but they keep coming to you because you are excellent and you have set a certain standard that nobody's been able to come up against. So how does that feel?
It feels amazing. I don't know if you just saw my reaction as you're telling me. I'm getting inside my head, and and that's one thing you never really want to do. You never want to get inside your head too much. You just want to just go and take action. And I always say, if I'm nervous about something and excited at the same time, which are two amazing qualities that you should have whenever you enter any venture. If you're nervous and a little, hesitant about it, then nah, you shouldn't do it. It was just amazing, to have them to call me back every year. The second year, it was like, really? Okay, but this happened, but it doesn't matter because I took care of it. We're always focusing on the wrong things that, could go wrong, or the reason why a client, won't want you to come back. But you have to realize people are people. People understand that, things are not going to be 100%. And trust me, it has not been 100%. But the thing that has kept me really going is merging my two talents. And it's been like my therapy. So every year, what I would do is I would create this huge, gigantic poster for us. And I would use, imagery to, post your schedule, because I'm a visual person. So, I never wanted to, anyone to be like, oh, I missed my schedule, or I didn't know I was working. So I'm like, your picture's right there, so that was my method to, a take on, something different. And you always want to bring something different to a client. You always want to kind of give them something that they never had. So, to answer your question, I'm ecstatic that I'm here right now. Now, I have to say, and I know you're probably getting to this, this year is a little questionable, because I have been doing the research, and if Disney World is canceled until next year, and the Houston Rodeo was canceled as well, and I actually was on the road headed to the Houston Rodeo.
Yeah.
Then, I kind of like, not really too caught up on if the state fair is going to happen this year. I'm keeping my fingers crossed, but if it is going to happen, it's probably going to be at a very low capacity, right, of people attending.
No, yeah. We'll dive right into that. So how has COVID-19 directly or indirectly affected your market, being that this is happening right now?
Well, this is both of our markets, right? So being a very small business, I would say I'm a micro business. I only have 3 major clients, and I've just fallen back on my first love, which is photography, which I've put on a back burner for so many years. So many years, for the last 5 years, basically. And I'm falling in love with, the senior portrait industry, redesigning my studio again. I mean, the last couple of months the first month was amazing. I mean, painting the walls, getting new pictures, rediscovering my why, like going through all my archives. Now the second month, oh my God. I don't know what it's been like for you, but for me, I had to put a few systems in place, you know what I mean? Because me working alone, I've had to put myself on a workout routine. I've had to put myself on an eating schedule. I've had to schedule activities if it wasn't related to photography or finding more business, because your mind will start wandering. And my whole thing right now is to stay centered. Don't think about the future, don't think about the past, just be in this moment right here. So that would be my advice to anybody right now who's struggling, whether you're a business owner or you're just waiting to see if your employer is going to hire you again. Yeah, just stay centered. Yeah.
No, that's a good thing. So May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so a lot of our live sessions have been asking, and I'll ask you too, and you really just dove right into it. How important is your mental health? So mental health and mental illness is 2 separate things, but everybody has mental health. How important has that been to sustain yours? Like you said, you've done things like getting on a routine, but how important is your mental health, your mental clarity, you being centered? How important is that to you?
I really didn't know a lot about mental health, besides, my mentor mentioning that, sometimes people can literally make you sick, I didn't think about it that much, to be honest with you, as we were waiting to to talk today. I went on your page and I noticed that this month was mental, but it's been pretty self-aware,
Mhm.
as far as, knowing that I'm alive. This is my one life.
Mhm.
I may not be coming back. I don't know what's going to happen in the next life. So I need to do what I want to do now
Mhm.
while I can. Um, but, I follow all the routines that, the medical experts may say, like, meditate. I've been doing that for years. Eat right. I try to eat right, but I also believe in the yin and the yang. You got to have a little, junk food, to balance off the healthy. You can't just go one way or the other.
Mhm.
Either side is not too good for you, which is kind of, I know I'm veering off, but 2 weeks I was eating really healthy
Mhm.
and I plateaued. This is so weird. Maybe you can, because you're in the health and fitness. Then I started eating junk food for 2 days, dropped 5 pounds.
Mm.
Crazy, right? So that's another indication that you do need the yin and the yang. You need everything, you can't have too much of one or the other. Just like when I moved into the staffing industry,
Mhm.
photography, everybody kept on saying, well, are you burned out? I'm like, no, I'm not burned out. I need something else. Like, I need to be creative. Like, I need to, reestablish myself, because that's all people know me as a photographer.
Yeah.
And now, I'm looked upon as, okay, I guess one of the industry leaders, because I only know maybe 2 or 3 people besides yourself, who's doing this, who's a reflection of who I am.
Right.
And, in the last 5 years, I would say that's pretty important, because we need to see people like ourselves
Presentation.
to validate that it can be done,
Right.
you know?
And I think that's even more important, like you said. So all of that, like you meditated, that was already a part of your routine. So that's nothing different from you, but it's you've reorganized a couple of thoughts and you've done a couple of things with schedules. Any too much of a good thing can still be a negative. And so that's
Yeah.
exactly, if I'm eating clean 100% of the time, I'm never breaking schedule, and I plateau and then I have a cheat day, then your body says, oh, wait a minute, okay, that's something different. So it makes no sense, but it makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah.
If you have a bad day, it doesn't matter. That was that day. Leave it there and then come back and then get back into your routine, or give yourself the permission to breathe, right?
Right.
To
Exactly.
refocus, whether it's let me try a different way of meditating, or I think I want to create a book. I think I want to create a staffing company, or just whatever that thing is that you want to do. Like, give
Right.
yourself the time and space to like take a deep breath, and then like there are people out there that look like you, no matter what you look like, right? There's somebody that's leading in your industry. Even if you can't see them, take a little bit of time, do some research, and you will never know who's right beyond the other door that says, hey, you can do this, right?
Right.
You got this.
And, yeah, and you need that.
Mhm.
You really do need that. You need to surround yourself with people who are like yourself.
Yeah.
I grew up like reading a lot of books on entrepreneurship, and I didn't really look at myself as an entrepreneur until I became a staffer. As a photographer, I'm like, I'm a freelancer,
Mhm.
because, I feel like a hippie. Matter of fact, I'm wearing yoga pants under this, this blouse right now. And I'm gonna probably go jump, wash my face, jump right back into my workout. Okay, so being a freelancer, I pretty much did things my way. I had to worry about myself. But being an entrepreneur, it was, I had to pretty much
Mhm.
balance the playing field. I had to take care of the clients,
Mhm.
make sure the clients got what they wanted, but also made sure the staff was being treated fairly. Then at the same time, make sure that the staff was catering to the fairgoers, which
Mhm.
are, our clients in a sense. So it's kind of like, a balancing act you have to do for however long that activation is.
Right.
And I knew in the beginning I was doing it wrong, because I was there all the time.
Mhm.
I was working in the business and I was working on the business, and it became a job.
Yeah.
And so once you get I got a mentor, that's when everything changed, and I can't stress enough how a mentor will change your life. Now, if you get a mentor, you got to make sure your mentor has a track record, that they're doing things that, put you in awe, that, they have to be in a place where you want to be, so once you get that mentor, then you'll see your life changing. And I mean, my life just changed drastically that second year. The first year, I swear, I probably lost about 20 pounds because I was on stage. I was making sure everyone got paid. It was just crazy. Now I have delegated everything that I do not want to have to do, and it's worked out perfectly. It really has, so.
No, we'll talk about that. So delegation. So from freelancer to entrepreneur, from entrepreneur to mentored entrepreneur that has systems and steps in place where you can walk away, you can absolutely breathe. Get you a mentor, not on your same level, but you want to pull up with your mentor. You want to have something to grow into, because if you find conversate with someone next to you, but get you a mentor that can help grow you and mature you in your perspective field. So I'm trying to give some little nuggets and takeaways as people are joining, because we're going to post this back up. But I couldn't agree more. Like, I know I've been a part of it 4 seasons. This is the 5th one, or the 5th year. And so I've seen the growth from, we have the media day, we have the photo shoots, we have the elaborate, the banners that have our pictures. And I mean, you really do a great job with catering to the brand ambassador, which we're the talent, but then the client perspective. So I understand you having to balance 3 different lanes: the client, the talent, and then the audience itself. But yes, systems in place, guys, will help you grow your industry, and delegation will give you peace of mind.
Oh yeah,
I've had to learn the hard way in the delegation.
Yeah.
I could still probably use a couple of more systems, but
yeah. And I also want to mention too, I really do appreciate, you spending some time with me that first year. We was close to the end of our season. I don't know if you remember, we sat in the car for like maybe an hour. It felt like it was forever because the conversation just flowed. And I knew we was going to have a long-term relationship, and it kind of just grew into, what I didn't expect. I mean, because we see each other, if not online, throughout the years, working different activations. We work for each other, on several occasions. And I just want to say thank you, because, it got lonely that first year, because I pulled myself outside of being a team member, and then I had to be the head of an organization or a company or my agency. And I invited people to join me, like, hey, come on, step up and join me. And, I just couldn't find anyone to join me, but you just set me down and you broke it down from your point of view. Like, look, I know what you're going through, and it really did help me. And so I went into that second year, more confident, more determined to make this, work. And once again, like I said, here we are, going strong. And the one question I get from a lot of people is like, are you going to grow? Are you going to be big? That's really a personal preference. And for me, I only had one purpose, and that was to create change, for that one particular industry, the lottery industry.
Right.
But as a result, when you do a good job in any field, people refer you, people talk about you, and if you're lucky, you hope they're saying some good things about you. And so, as you mentioned, that's when the State Fair of Texas hired me. And then as a result of that, Fair Park actually hired me last year as well. And so I'm working under that one umbrella right there at the State Fair, or Fair Park, with 3 different major companies, So, I mean, just imagine creating a business where your first client is like right here sitting in the bar. So it's like you're blessed, and so I don't want to do anything to embarrass the people who work for me. I don't want to do anything to embarrass the people who I'm working for. So it's a cohesive kind of venture where you have to really just make sure that you're putting your people first, you're putting your client first, and you're putting your integrity out there first, you know, and I wouldn't do it any other way.
No, and you do such an amazing job. So I have a question for you. In one, yes, I'll backtrack. Yes, I do remember that. I remember seeing you.
Oh, you remember?
Yeah, yeah, of course. Like I do. I remember, I think I'd already, and I'm pretty sure I'd already started IEM brand management. So I already had the company going, and I knew what it felt like to branch out there, to go from brand ambassador mindset to I own entrepreneur, this whole thing. And you have to differentiate yourself from being just an employee of your own company or that standalone mentality, and then shifting to, if you don't treat yourself, if you don't cultivate the mentality of, no, I own this, I'm a boss, like, then you'll just be everybody else, meaning like people will run over you, even though like you have to have some type of authority with it, but you don't have to be arrogant or rude, but it's still just a mindset of excellence that you get to provide or come to the table with. So I definitely remember, and I'll say this publicly, I sucked my first year, or at least the first beginning. You might not say no, but what I did, guys, is I took the time to get with the client and Tam to say, hey, listen, you guys picked me for a reason. I feel like I could be doing a better job. What can I do differently? So I'll say that to people that are watching, not only just in your everyday life or in your job. It's okay to stop, self-evaluate, and come back and say, hey, this might have worked a little bit, but I'm not looking for a little result. And like you said, you were playing the long-term game, and so was I. So I wanted to know, how can I improve, set the bar up here, and then how can I exceed the expectation? One, I didn't want to let you down, and I know you didn't choose me, not only you but everybody else, but for me, I wanted to be excellent, and I also wanted to make sure that other people would have the opportunity to say, hey, bring them back. Like if we had an option to come back and do be an MC the next year, I wanted to have my name in the pool to say, hey, we want this person, and not like, no, we don't, just don't bring them back next year, you know? So, but no, I do remember it. Do you, and I'll segue into this, do you feel like you have to work twice as hard because you are a woman of color in this industry?
I would say yes and no to that.
Okay.
I would say yes, because being a woman of color is a bit of pressure. I try not to think about that. I try to stay away from anything negative that has to do with being a person of color stereotype. I remember growing up, and I used to ask my mom, or I don't know, some adult figure in my life, like, how could so many Black people be controlled by so many, you know, other races or whatever, you know? And I just didn't understand, you know, we all have the same mental capacity, we all can have the same talents, but, you know, one particular, you know, color is degraded, you know? And to be honest, I still have trouble with being called Black. I don't know if, you know, I'm kind of going down a bunny trail, but, you know, to go back to your original question, yes, that's the only reason why I feel like I have trouble, you know, being a woman of color in this industry. And that's not just this industry, it's in photography too. When I go to my conferences, we talk about the same thing, you know. I would say no, because I don't look at myself as a woman of color the majority of the time. When I go into any project, I go in there being Tam Cam. I go in there being the best I can be. I always say somebody might outwork me sometime, but they will never outcreate me, because I've always been the idea person. Like, you know, if something don't work, I'm the problem solver. You know, I may not be the most physical, you know, I may not be the most the smartest person in the room or whatever, but I have this ability to create whatever I want, and that's the one thing I know somebody can't take that away from me, you know. Yeah, so
no, that's awesome. So guys, bring your own. Don't be intimidated by someone else having your craft, because you stand out by yourself, right?
No, absolutely not.
No takeaway. Being in, we're both entrepreneurs. We're both women, both of the African diaspora, and meaning just women of color. But we both have staffing companies. But I don't do what you do. I don't staff the state fair in Texas. I wouldn't even try.
But we can always learn from each other.
But that
Yeah.
right. So there's power in numbers. So
Yes.
it isn't a competition. There's ways
No.
to bridge the gap with entrepreneurs, businesses, women, men, and it doesn't matter the color, race, creed, your origin, or even your political beliefs. There's way for us to grow in numbers where it benefits not just me, her, or you, but the multitude of people. And I think
Right.
that we don't necessarily sit down and have those conversations on
No.
how can I get together with my next person or this person over here, and how can we collectively push us forward as a people? How can we create more job systems, or how do people know that, hey, go be an entrepreneur, you don't have to work
Right.
for somebody else.
Right.
There's enough work out here for everybody where everybody can eat, so it doesn't have to be a competition. And
No.
I think
No.
definitely uplifting one another, like empowerment helps, or even these conversations. So again, thank you for taking the time to be here.
Thanks, girl.
What is and I'm going to be mindful of your time, but
Oh, you're good.
what's I want to say either a common misconception or just something that, what was the difference from a mentor perspective? Would you ever mentor someone? And then what's a common misconception that people just might think about starting your own business or being in your industry?
Oh, I do it all the time. I mentor a lot of the high school seniors. For some reason, I love the senior industry. I think mostly because I didn't have senior portraits. So I always, give them that option. Give them that pass when their parents are not, giving them another way out. Like, you don't want to go to school, don't go to school. But do something with your life. And it may not be the politically correct thing, but I'm speaking based on my experience, and I only give it if someone asks me. The seniors, they come to me and they see all the equipment in the studio, they see the books, on the shelf, and they're like, wow, I want to be like you. How can I get there? And I'm like, well, follow your passion, follow your blitz, never grow up, do what you want to do. But keep in mind, it will take sacrifice, and it will take hard work. You got to keep moving. You can't just be on a computer all day and be like, someday, someday, someday. No, someday is today. You need to do it. You need to do something. What was the second part of the question?
You're so sweet. Invest in your craft, guys. Invest in your craft. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Invest in your craft.
Yeah.
She does do mentoring, so if you're interested, I don't know if she's taking any new people, but DM her. And then the second part was like, what's the common misconception? Like, starting a staffing company is easy, or being in photography. Like, how have you had like an aha moment and a powerful takeaway that you live by now? Like, I know you have a tattoo that says create on there we go on your wrist, but the power of being able to create basically manifestation, like bringing it to light, like that's awesome within itself. But an inspirational quote or something that you live by that you would give to someone else.
Well, I always say, start where you are, do what you can, and be the best you can be. I think Arthur Ashe pretty much said that, and you really just got to keep moving. You really do. I'm not gonna lie, the very first year was very confusing, and I know you're gonna probably laugh at this, but keep in mind I'm an artist, and and I'm a simple girl. I'm from New Orleans. I grew up with not a lot of people who I had inspired to be. So when I got the opportunity to start the staffing company, they were like, we need you to submit your proposal within 2 weeks. I'm like, okay, cool, no problem. Google, what's a proposal? Like, I didn't know. I mean, and that's real, right? That's real right there. I didn't know what a proposal was. So thank God for the University of YouTube and, Google. Huh?
Or Rabbi Google.
Yeah, that's what, hello, can I hear amen? Yeah, and thank God for my persistence, because I tend to do that a lot. Like, if I don't know something, you may not know that I don't know, but I will go find out, and I think that's the joy of this whole adventure of starting a staffing company. It's kind of, I've always been a fan of Serendipity, like you do one thing and then something else happens and you're like, oh my God, I didn't even expect that, you know, and then it turns out way more than you expected. But then you're like, oh shoot, I should have never done that, you know, because then you got yourself in so much trouble. But you need those bad times to outweigh the good times, because the bad times are the things that teach you the lessons,
Yeah.
you know. And it's like, you know, and I'm getting chills just even thinking about it. You know, this has just been the best fun in my life, you know, starting a staffing company. I would have to say, besides, you know, starting my photography business. And when I look at it in hindsight, the same way I started my photography company is the same way I started the staffing company. You know, I'm not really trained as a photographer. I went to school for graphic design. That's what I went to school for. And I took one class in photography, and it was an elective. And I was like, I ain't going back to school, you know. I'm like, I'm out of here. Hello, peace, you know, because I was already up in my eyeballs in debt.
Yeah.
And that's why I go back to telling, you know, kids, if you don't want to go to school, don't go to school, because to me, it's part of the trap, you know. And I know I'm going down another trail, but
Perfect.
you gotta know what you want to do. If you don't know what you want to do, don't get yourself into a financial bind. Don't do it, because you'll, huh?
Go ahead. Go
ahead. Yeah, because you'll be, you know, paying it up until you're 30, and then what?
Or longer.
Then you're trapped. Yeah, or longer.
So we had a conversation with my son about, like, what is it that you want to do? I have a senior. He graduated.
Yay! Oh, bless his heart. Crazy year.
But that's the conversation. So my sister and I, we sat down, and she was like, okay, so what? And so we're taking this list and we're writing, or actually she was writing. I was just kind of sitting.
Yeah.
Okay, so exactly what? It's marine biology, but okay, what's our second and third option? So
right.
If you can't do it your first year, I'm not going to say, oh, well, you should have done back. No, listen, if you can't do it, come home, what we going to do? Like, we have to have a game plan. So it's not mandatory that you go to college, but it's mandatory that you figure out what you want to do. If it's a craft, if it's a certification, if it's get you something. And so with her, she said, hey, I want you to write down things that you love. And it was hilarious because she was reading them off, and she said, you building a Bumble profile. Like, what are you? Like long walks on the beach and oh, wait, give me what you like. So guys, take time in this season while we're being forced to be quiet and sit still to write down some things and maybe get to know you.
Exactly.
Or have your senior or the people that you're around and ask them really, like, what is it that you want to do? Not your parents, not your loved ones, not your friends. You stop and get to know you on paper, in your mind, in your heart, in your soul. And then in that way, you know how to go after what you want, your hopes, your dreams, your goals. And it's not someone else's. Oh, well, my mom said I should. Your mom ain't living your life.
Hello.
At the end of the day, right? So
yeah,
you're responsible for you. And so I love the fact that you've gone after this. And I'll ask you this. And what made you fall in love with photography? Where did that start?
Oh, wow. I will always say photography chose me. I didn't choose photography. I was one of those kids, you know, if you can imagine me in third grade, you know, I probably had a little fro like I have right now because I hated barrettes, knockers, or whatever they call them. And I was always daydreaming, you know. And as funny as it may seem, I can even remember being in pre-K or kindergarten, where my favorite pastime was the art teacher coming. So it was another form of me creating, you know. And I just knew, like even back then, I probably was self-aware. Like, I knew that my mind and my body and my spirit just lit up, you know, when I was drawing or you know, taking my you remember that construction paper, that color construction paper they still probably make it, and we had to make the paper mache, whatever, paper dolls I think we was making back then. That's how I knew that I was going to be an artist. I actually wanted to be a cartoonist, and for some reason I just kind of fell off the track. Drawing the
It's not too late if you ever want to go back and do
well, it don't excite me no more. What really excites me is, you know, being interested in something. Like, my new passion right now is interior design. I actually found these on the street. I don't know if you can see those shutters.
Awesome.
And so I love decorating. And so that's another industry that pretty much chose me. I didn't choose it. You know, it's like you're drawn to something,
Mm-hmm.
you know. On the other hand, the staffing company, it was presented to me, and then I had the opportunity to be like, oh no. And then I had a really good talk with myself, and I was like, you know what? If I'm not feeling how I feel about photography next year, then I'm gonna have to let it go because I don't do stress very well. But yeah, going back to photography, that's how I chose it. Yeah, it chose me.
Oh, I love it. 'Cause
Yeah.
I resonate with that so much. What is one thing that you would want people to know about you that they might not know?
Um, that I'm not an introvert. I'm not an extrovert. I'm in the middle, as I am a middle child. I'm an ambivert, meaning I light up when I'm in the presence of a crowd, you know. But this right here, this terrifies me. This terrifies me right here talking to you,
Really?
you know, one on absolutely, yeah.
What? That is so surprising.
Yeah, this is not what I do, you know. This would to me, if we had another option, this would be pre-recorded.
Oh,
This would be but you know what, Ralph, this is what I'm starting to understand. And you know, my daily cartel is starting to kick in. Sorry if I've been stumbling. You know, I've noticed that a lot of middle kids, they're artists,
mm,
and a lot of entertainers, they're extroverts or they're ambiverts. You
mm.
know, they do the same. And I learned that just kind of by researching, you know, people lives. Like even Beyonce will be the first one to tell you, you know, that's why she created her alter ego, you know. And you know, now I'm thinking about it, that's why I created Tam Cam, you know. But trust me, Tamara, or Mara as my family called me, I get up, I'm in t-shirts and sweats all day, and I am grinding.
That's
You know,
no, that is super dope. So guys, don't or that just puts us into don't judge a book by its cover. Meaning people might see you and if they know that you do the high top talent and they've seen you do activations and promos and espresso and different things that you do, you're like boom, pow, lights, camera, action. But in on the other side, you're like, nope, I'm good. You know, you're like you said, you're that middle person, and I am kind of like exactly what you see. For the one on
what you say? You say what you see is what you get.
sometimes most like it's crazy because my sister laughs about it. She's like, yo, I want the one-on-one interaction. She said, give her the crowds. But I like both of it. It's just for me, it's people.
Right.
Even I call it kissing babies and hugging grown people, right? So you take
Oh,
people.
right.
Even in staffing, prior to me owning this, when I was in corporate, recruiting for physical therapy and nurses and everything else, I would tell them like, hey, I believe in treating everybody like they're your grandma because nobody
Mm-hmm.
wants grandma to be mistreated. And so they were like, I like that. Okay. And I found myself being very results driven. Like, okay, cool. Let me fix it. What is it? Give it to me.
Right.
And so
Right.
that kind of creates something else. But yeah, like I do the interaction. Like this is fun because it's like people and people get to watch. And I like
You are a people person. Let me tell you, and I think I probably told this to you, and I probably tell it to you every year. The very first year you auditioned for High Top Talent, they loved you.
oh,
Like, absolutely loved you. And that's the most important thing about getting ahead in any industry. You know, you have to find that common thread with people and make, not so much be fake or phony or anything like that, but be the biggest version of yourself. You know, if you know, I'm not like this all the time, you know, at a medium level, then I need to be, you know, high pitch, high, you know, high top. I need to be at the highest level in my life, you know. And I think, you know, the pre-existing relationships too had a lot to do with me actually getting that contract too.
yeah.
And that's what I want to mention. So anybody out there who's wanting to start a staffing company, get out there, let the world, let the industry be your textbook
Mhm.
and be your schooling, your education, and create those relationships, because I knew the two ingredients that I needed in order to make a high top of success was I had to network, and I had to put a lot of work behind it,
Mhm.
you know, and it worked, so
And it's continuing
yeah.
work. I couldn't have a better opportunity to speak with a beautiful individual like yourself. So I'm glad you said yes.
I gotta learn how to take compliments very well. Like, I don't do that very
I don't even
often.
sometimes. It's okay. Just
Yeah.
smile and nod. You're like,
Okay, I'll take it. Thank you.
no, I oh, we're freezing just a little bit. So I hope yes, you're perfect. No, so guys,
That is your gift right there.
what?
That is your gift.
What?
You have a gift of making people feel like they matter,
Oh,
making them feel special. And I don't know, just your smile overall just makes people like, I want to get to know that girl.
oh.
She's somebody special. Like, I'm serious, I'm at the point in my life, I love photography and I love my staffing company. And I always tell people right now, they're like, so what's the next phase of High Top? I'm like, I want to be the Simon Cowell of, my industry, because I love talent.
Yeah.
I love, like, I look at you and I'm like, girl, I can see you at your talk show. Like, let me, like,
You better
yeah.
be okay, like Jesus, because I don't know
Yeah.
how this thing could go, but I'm open. Listen, we'll go on tour. Oh, hello, y'all hear me? 1, 2, yeah, listen.
Like, I see you, and I noticed that in a bunch of our our staff members, we're like a little tight family, actors and artists and speakers like yourself, and I'm like, I would love to take you on. Don't want to overextend myself and overpromise, under deliver. Like, if I take this on, really want to take it on and push it forward, because, like I said, I get excited, but then you kind of get a little like, oh, what if something goes wrong? But it will go wrong,
Yeah.
But then you have somebody's career in your hands. I really do see a lot of talent in you. I really do, and I can see you going far. So I beg you, keep this up, this right here. So I can say, I once knew her.
Hey, say the same thing about you. No, listen, high energy. A side note, it's exhausting. Like it can be.
But that's what's going to separate
Yeah.
you, me, and the rest of us female hustlers who are doing this from the rest of the people. They're not going to do all the hard work.
So,
But if you have those relationships intact, I don't think you have any problems. And honestly, things like that, you really shouldn't be thinking about. Of course, they're going to creep in your mind because you're human, but you should be focusing on the task at hand, doing a great job, making the client happy, and making sure the people who are working with you, are being respected and they're getting what they deserve.
So I'll speak on that. Like I wanted to quit. I wanted to throw away the entire towel because I hear some. Okay, so I wanted to throw in the towel and scrap the whole thing and be like, yo, I'm done. I'm finished. I don't want this no more. And right before you cross that finish line, guys, it's something will happen where I'll land another contract, or I'll hear some amazing news about our company from someone else, and they'll be like, oh my God, I've been wanting to work with you. And I'm like, oh, okay. So that's confirmation to keep going.
Yeah.
And I'll say this part before we go. We have to do this more often.
Hello.
Very good.
Maybe I'll get a little more better at it, and I won't have a morning cocktail. I just had to get the get the jitters off.
No, thank you for coming on, guys. Like she does so much just for the industry. So photography, she models. If you haven't seen it, go check out her page. So modeling. She owns her own staffing company, High Top Talent and Staffing. Follow your dreams. Remember to create, guys. Different opportunities. The sky is the beginning. There is light at the end of the tunnel.
Oh, I love that. Oh, wow.
Yes,
I'm gonna have to use that.
sky's the beginning. So what that means is, guys, you start in the sky and you shoot for the stars. If you land on the moon, you already went further than what you thought was possible. But don't be afraid to jump, especially in this season. Quiet out the noise. Get you some alone still time with a pen pen and a paper. Get you a good friend like Tam. Okay, go get y'all one of them. Okay, and you know what I'm saying, like just really hone in on who you are in this season. So when the world opens back up, you're prepared to be you in the fullest part of you possible. So, ma'am, thank you so much. I can't wait to do this again. But
Thank you, Miss Raffinae.
yes, have a beautiful day. Thank you for coming on, and follow Tam. So Tam Cam, High Top Talent. What's another one? Tam Cam Photography is another page.
Always Tam Cam photo.
Yeah.
I can only manage 3 pages of Instagram, so that's it.
Yes, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your Friday, and we will be talking soon.
Thank you. Be blessed.
You too. Bye, guys.
Bye.
That's Inspire, Encourage, Motivate Live. You guys are amazing. Thank you, Tam, for coming on, and we will see you guys next week.